We have had our conversations about the Vancouver Canucks. We have spoken about them trading up, potentially with a team like the Toronto Maple Leafs, potentially with a team like the San Jose Sharks. Whether or not the Vancouver Canucks trade 3 and other stuff for 1 or 2, or they just trade other stuff for 1 and 2 by itself, keeping the 3rd overall pick, there needs to be a conversation on other guys that can be named. And in today's video, we are diving into one of the top prospects that has really started to make a name for himself over the past few days. Now, I don't want to discredit this player. He's been really good throughout the course of this season, but it wasn't really until the start of the World Championships where the majority of hockey fans started to pay attention. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are talking about Djurgården's IF forward, Viggo Bjorck. Now, the thing with Bjork is, he is one of the smaller players at the top of this year's draft. He is 5'10", 172, and there were even some reports earlier in the season saying that Bjork was 5'9". As we had learned from the Cole Caulfields and the Lane Hutsons of the world, when you're that small, sometimes your draft ranking gets skewed in an unfair way downwards. And that's exactly what we have seen out of Viggo Bjorck. This is a guy who is ranked 12th by Kennedy on the Hockey News. However, his overall consolidated ranking is 5. This is because Tony Ferrari of the Hockey News has him at number 3, Flow Hockey Chris Peters has him at 8, Bukala out of Sportsnet has him at 6, Smart Scouting has him at 7, and he is the 4th ranked European skater by NHL Central Scouting. That could potentially change depending on how the rest of the World Championships goes, because Viggo Bjorck right now has 2 points in 2 games for Team Sweden. He had 15 points in 42 games as a center right wing, playing for Djurgårdens in the SHL, and he was a point per game in the playoffs too. His Djurgården junior season was even better, scoring 20 points in 9 playoff games. Add to this 9 points in 7 World Junior games for Team Sweden, which is a mark that I think a lot of people are underrating. Not only is Viggo Bjorck draft eligible, just recently turned 18, but he was doing some good work with both the Swedish national team at the Worlds and at the World Juniors. It's rare to see a guy as a draft eligible player do that well. And it's noteworthy because for Team Sweden at the World Juniors, it was Bjork alongside Philadelphia prospect Jack Berglund and fellow 2026 eligible prospect Ivar Stenberg who had produced the most points. Now, let's get into how the Vancouver Canucks are related here. Because it turns out the Canucks actually do have a scout at the World Championships this year. It's none other than President of Hockey Operations Daniel Sedin, who is in Switzerland scouting these Swedes. He literally had an interview speaking with Viaplay where he said, yeah, he's looking at all of these Swedes and potentially seeing them as Canucks options. Now, I did see some backlash to this, like, hey, why is the Canucks president of hockey operations in Sweden, or in Europe, watching Swedes at the World Championships? Isn't that not really what a president is supposed to do? Isn't that a scout's job? Why is Daniel Sedin going to the Worlds? And my response to that is, hey, the Canucks have 2 presidents. They have literally double the manpower at the position. Why wouldn't you send the other one to do some external tasks that still need to be covered? I get that scouts are paid to do scouting-like jobs, but if a president of hockey ops wants to go out there and do that too, who would anybody be to say no? With that said, Viggo Bjorck is a guy who stood out a lot over the past few days, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that he has started things out really well in the tournament. This is the goal from yesterday that was going viral. It's Viggo Bjorck setting himself up right in the slot for an Ivar Stenberg pass, which he hammers behind the goaltender and gives Sweden a 5-1 lead. It was a really nice play, and it's really put Viggo Bjorck on the map as one of these guys who doesn't just play hard, but he converts hard too. NHL Foley, who does work for Pro Hockey Rumours and Rec Scouting, went out there and said, "I've compared Viggo Bjorck to Brayden points since last summer. Here is his goal, scoring from the bumper spot on Sweden's power play at the Worlds. Nothing that IQ and reaction can't get you. Versatile is putting it lightly. He is my number 3 in the 2026 draft." Cam Robinson went out there and tweeted this: "Ivar Stenberg and Viggo Bjorck are joining some pretty decent company. The last time Sweden had 2 draft-eligible skaters on its World Championship roster? 1999. Daniel and Henrik Sedin." Thomas Drance went out there and said this earlier in the week: "Viggo Bjorck, playing for Team Sweden, was going out there and doing some good work against Team Canada. And he was winning puck battles against NHL players, holding his own in the circle against Ryan O'Reilly at 18. Because he is 5'9.5", however, as per NHL tradition, the third best player in this class will be available in the teens." Just test driving this take. Drance is insinuating that on his personal ranking, Viggo Bjorck is 3rd overall, and a guy who was able to tango with the best that Canada has to offer. Obviously no Connor McDavid, but Sidney Crosby, Celebrini, Ryan O'Reilly, Mark Scheifele, they're all there. And Bjork actually looked all right. Cam Robinson went out there and posted his own draft rankings. He now has Bjork at number 4, so I guess the Cam's consensus is a little bit outdated, and the consolidated ranking at number 5 could potentially go up a little bit more once this Cam's consensus rank gets updated there. But Robinson currently has Bjork at number 4 in front of Caleb Malhotra. Thomas Drance goes out there and writes about Chase Reed. Jacob Doodle, shout out to him, he does some great Canucks content on YouTube as well. "Bjork is a bulldog on the ice, relentless pressure with a high skill ceiling. There's going to be a team that's going to be over the moon drafting him." Drance replied, "I think this basically NHL-ready right-handed center with the 6 scoring profile should probably just go in the top 5, and everyone picking after that is messing up if they're passing on him." And finally, you have Grant McCagg going out there and saying this: "For what it's worth, I have had Viggo Bjorck ranked 2nd overall for the past month. A dynamic, complete center who will overcome size concerns. The last Swedish center to come close to his level of ascension and usage in Sweden was Henrik Sedin." One NHL scout compared Bjork to Brian Trottier. Now, that's a pretty big take. Now, Henrik Sedin, of course, we all know this guy scored 1,000 points in the National Hockey League. Trottier is one of the best players of all time. And that's not even really a debate. I mean, he is a Hockey Hall of Famer. He scored himself 1,400 points in the NHL, multiple 100-plus point seasons, and he did so at 5'11", 195. Grant McCagg is going out there and insinuating the idea that Viggo Bjorck being ranked to Trottier is not that hot of a take. And we're saying that this guy could be ranked as low as number 8? Why? Because he's 5'10"? This is where we start talking about possibilities here. If the Vancouver Canucks can find themselves a way to get 2 and 3, let's say they pull off some sort of a miracle Filip Hronek to San Jose for 2nd overall trade, what if, instead of taking Caleb Malhotra, who is a center and who fulfills a role that the Canucks need more players to fulfill, what if they just take Stenberg and Bjork? Bjork can play center. He can play right wing. There's versatility there. Ivar Stenberg is really good, too. We've seen the chemistry that they've been able to display at the World Championships. This doesn't feel crazy at all, doesn't it? And now with some scouts coming out of the shadows and saying that, yeah, Viggo Bjorck, 4th overall. Viggo Bjorck, 2nd overall. Viggo Bjorck, 3rd overall. It doesn't seem like that hot of a take now, doesn't it? With that said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the idea of Viggo Bjorck as a top prospect in this year's draft, and do you think the Vancouver Canucks should do what they can to try and get him? Let me know in the comments all your opinions. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.